Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to the first episode of Kwality Konvos by Julio.
And your boy Groovy D.
This show's gonna be centered around like black culture, so whether it's music, the actual culture, politics, pretty much anything. We really gonna be talking about. But what makes this show special is that we're gonna be talking about everything from a Chicago perspective. So
yes, sir.
We both have a lot of out west experience, born and raised. I've been raised fairly decent places out west, so currently residing in North Lawndale.
Came up from the Austin community, but I live all over the west side too.
Yeah, but we wanted them west siders to actually travel, so like we got a huge perspective on Chicago in general, whether it's over east, out south, up north. I'm up north now, so
yeah, I'm out south now. So,
really just knowing the whole city, so
yeah, we
can provide a lot of perspective that I feel like a lot of people that flame out west really can't, because they don't go out west.
Hell no, because I be everywhere.
Yeah, you got a lot of south siders, you got a lot of east siders, you got a lot of whatevers that talk about the west side of Chicago as if they've been there more than once. And the thing is, all of out west isn't the same. North Lawndale is real different from where he live in Austin.
Right.
But it's still just that out west love. If you
my
from
side
out west
of out west is damn near like the east side of out west, and out west is damn near like the south side of out west. But people wouldn't know that unless you knew out west. But it's different variations of the city in general, like just to begin with. But one thing that we have a problem with, just living in the city and just going to college in the city and then meeting other black people who we assume was from the city but were actually from the burbs. They have a completely different perspective on life and what it is to grow up in the city and what it is to be black in the city.
What blows me about a lot of people that he's talking about, like a lot of them from the south suburbs, so they feel like they have a connection with the south side of Chicago.
Right.
Now I'm not gonna lie, some of their peoples, was from out west, so like their moms, their dads, whatever.
Or even from out south or wherever it is.
Yeah,
they're from the city.
Or from out south, so they be from the city, but at the same time, they weren't raised in the city.
Right.
And when you meet them, like, you'll have a conversation, oh man, where you from? And a lot of them just be like, oh man, I'm from out south. Then they crack some corny ass out west joke.
Right.
And then you like, oh man, like, where you from out south? Because, we know out south too. Then they on some, oh well, actually, I'm from somewhere in the south suburbs.
Right.
They just be like,
right.
You just lame off that from that. I can't trust you. So, it's already crazy that, you're not from the city.
Right. And
you talking about out west. But then you actually false flag and blocks, and it's just like, man, don't do that.
And not even to knock them from just the level of privilege they have, and not even to knock their parents for being good parents, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to provide for your children when you're able to do so. You feel me? But it's just don't bash other people who don't have it the same way you had it, and that's in all realms, not even financial, just the level of education you receive, the allowance that you do receive. You feel me? Like, while other people have to figure out ways to find jobs to work, while to fund certain things in college, you get your little allowances and you get make those phone calls and get whatever you need, and then you just want to claim the city when it's convenient, when you like to travel and give that stigma like, oh yeah, I'm from Chicago, and then people look at you all funny, and you get that little edge or whatever. But when you in the city, you clowning people who actually from the city and lived through a lot of things and experienced things on a different level, as far as just your upbringing. Just you kind of grew up a little tainted a little bit, just living in the city, just from the drug dealers you grew up with, from the crackheads you grew up with, from the violence that you see on the day-to-day, the gunshots you dodging on the day-to-day, just everything, just the level of exposure, like everything that your parents hid you from, we are exposed to at an early age. We're exposed to it in our school systems, we're exposed to it everywhere. So it's just like, of course we grew up a little different and we lack a certain level of understanding, and then unfortunately a lot of people who grew up in these cities don't have both of their parents. So just not having those two components in the household that affects you on another level as well. And then just the level of poverty that you go through, and then you have to figure out ways to make ends meet for your family. You feel me? Like you just, it's just different dynamics that you would just never understand. But you love to rep Chicago when it's convenient, when you're traveling. But then shit on us.
And we just, we don't
on the
want to
day to
paint.
day.
We don't want to paint a picture of Chicago because what I'm saying, it's different communities, it's different.
Right. It definitely is.
But even like live in certain places, like whether you got privilege and you live on the south side, or you got privilege and you live out west, you still are seeing and witnessing a level of poverty that's just unparalleled. And it's just the fact that people come and try to trivialize the city for an edge is just kind of insulting.
Because even my privileged homies, like, okay, I got homies who grew up in the Hyde Park area, and everybody know anything about the Hyde Park area. That's a little upper class area of the city, you feel me? So those are some of my privileged homies because they went to some decent schools, they got great education or whatever, but they still grew up a little tainted as well, just with the level of drugs that you probably exposed to that you wouldn't be exposed to in the suburbs, and it just the violence as well. I mean, I'm not saying that people from the South Burbs don't get out. Don't ever like try to quote me on that, because I definitely know you got your Harveys out there. You know, you got the Daltons, the Cal Cities. You know, you got some even west suburbs that they get down too. So I'm not saying everybody from the burbs is sweet, but it's just those far suburbs. You know, them Homewoods or whatever. Because the only thing about that's different between those burbs and the burbs that we're talking about is most of the burbs that everybody know for getting down, those are the burbs that the city displaced people to because that's where they allow Section 8, like, or whatever the case may be, or they just allow certain, you feel me?
Gentrification.
The gentrification is real out here. Like, and that's one thing we're gonna talk about later on in our shows as well. Like, gentrification is so real, and they definitely trying to reclaim the city. So, you know, you got a lot of white people moving back to these cities, and a lot of black people are getting displaced to the burbs. So you are seeing a lot more black people in the burbs, and that don't make them sweet or anything, but it's just those people just rep where you from. That's all it is. And then let me know what's real, because you trying to act like you so big and bad and you grew up so hard, but no, you didn't, because you get allowance every day while I'm over here trying to bust my ass working these little jobs or doing whatever.
When I talk to a lot of like suburban people, like one of their main reasons for like claiming the city is like, let's say they travel somewhere else and like they from like some small town or suburb or whatever, you know. But the simple solution to that is just say Chicagoland area. You don't gotta say you from Chicago and try to rep the city. Just say Chicagoland area.
And that's cool.
Recognize the first part of that word. You know?
Also, you kind of experienced it, or what is it like to be around it? Or like, you know, you still, you know, can talk about your experiences without hijacking our whole life and trying to act like it was that when it really wasn't.
Saying they from out south or out west and only saying downtown.
That's what I'm saying. That's all you visit when you come to the city is downtown. So don't try to act like, I mean, you know, you probably visit your little cousins here and there, but I even met some people who just like, you know, I don't really hang around my ghetto family like that, because, you know, like they too ghetto for me. And it's just like, man, like it took me a while to get to a certain level of righteousness that I'm at now, because I grew up in the wretchedness, like first, like that was my environment. That's what I grew up in. I'm never glorifying this or anything, because it's not to be glorified, because as black people we need to do better than what we're surrounded by, but and try to turn these neighborhoods into communities, because they're really not communities. These are ghettos, like modern day concentration camps that we living in, especially in Chicago. Being in Chicago, like I literally just visited my granddad today. Somebody just got shot like an hour ago from me visiting him, you feel me? So it's just like it's crazy out here. It is a wild west out here, you feel me? So
piggybacking off that, maybe we would be like more okay with you claiming the city if like y'all brought y'all resources back to the actual city, like back the block. The thing is, we don't have to look down on our communities when we get away if we actually invest in them so they can be better.
And that's one thing I can say we can be a little upset with y'all about, since y'all love to rep how well y'all doing so hard, but y'all parents were the cream of the crop to a certain degree, and y'all choose to join this whole white flight situation and be a part of what you call black flight or something like that. So y'all chose to be a part of the black fight movement, and y'all didn't bring those resources and degrees back to the community and help build the community like it should have been. But you know, you love to brag on the latest stuff you got and your little allowances you receive and how well you're doing, and then just shit on the inner city, like, you know, but use us when it's convenient. When you travel and talk about how big and bad you are because you from Chicago. No, you're from this suburb of Illinois.
And
So
my thing is, like, it's
Stop
one
playing.
of those things where it's like we just be wishing that we lived. I mean, and I'm not saying that like black
Right.
folk don't live in houses,
Right.
but at the end of the day, a lot of folks living in apartments, and we just be wishing that we could even live in a house.
Man.
So when you see folk that live in these fat
Man.
houses and they trying to sell drugs, I'm
Do
not gonna
dumb
say
stuff.
rapping, but
Do
it's just
dumb
like,
stuff.
yeah, like it's just crazy. Like, man,
look how
all
you
that
living.
privilege.
Right, all this privilege. Like, look how you live. Like, people envy this. Like, you feel me?
I would love to claim any suburb.
Right.
If
At
I
one
was
point,
from
I was
it.
like,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like,
I mean, and there's no shame in that. So just stop it. Stop the foolishness and just claim where you're from. That's all it is. And that's the end of that.
yeah, but we gonna get to the meat. So
Yeah.
you know, it's a lot of things that's been going on in black culture. One of the things being Kanye West. Now,
Yes.
first and foremost, let me say,
Kanye, chill out.
Kanye been tripping.
Yes.
However, you can learn a lot from a dummy. That's one of the things that my mom always taught me. You know, you can learn a lot from a dummy. Although he is saying very controversial things and he's wrong on a lot of it, it's some of them things he said that
Soft
was
shoe and
straight
like a
gems. So
Yeah.
it's like you know what I'm saying. We gotta leave emotion out of certain things
And be logical.
and be logical.
Yes.
So you can pick up on some of the things he said while still understanding that some of these things are problematic. So for instance, slavery is a choice. Now, the way I looked at it was, 1619, 2019, right?
Right.
Now, he basically saying like, how are we letting it get to 400 years? Now we know there's things like the prison industrial complex and like the housing laws. It's a lot of things that hold black people back from reaching their best potential. However, we have to take advantage of the opportunities we do have and recognize those opportunities and that privilege and do something.
Right.
Because we don't want another 100 years to go by and we still talking about we this, we that, we that.
Right.
We got to understand that we have privilege and we got to act on that now.
Right.
So even what we said about the suburbs, buying back the block, realizing that we have money to invest in ourselves now, some of us.
Right.
We have to be responsible with that and do what we got to do.
And what I really took from it, from that small part, because he was definitely doing a lot of cooning, and I gotta call that out. Like, my man was cooning his ass off a little bit. But what I did take from that was kind of similar to that Killmonger theory of I rather was it live on my feet than die? No,
that's Tupac.
Okay.
No, you talking about the I'd rather something.
Live on my feet.
I forgot what he said. No, he was saying like I'd rather die than
live on my
something with
knees
the
or something like
ancestors.
that.
You feel, that don't matter.
It don't
But
matter.
You know the
But it's similar to this: give me liberty or give me death. Oh my God!
See,
Look at
that's
that. He need
that.
that. But yeah.
He on something.
But it's similar to the give me liberty or give me death. I feel like black people, just as a people, we need to do better and unify and codify. And sometimes it takes bloodshed in order for us to achieve the goals that we need to achieve. Now, I'm not saying we didn't have our revolts like the Nat Turners and so forth, but it wasn't many, like similar to like the Haitian Revolution or something like that, where everybody was on code and they revolted against the French. You feel me? So I just feel like we just need to be a little bit. Everybody wasn't on code, but then when they had their coons, they were killing coons, and they definitely made sure that if you weren't with us, you're against us. Then we're going to definitely knock off the coons and do what we got to do to overrule the oppression that we're dealing with.
And we have to relate that to today. Because everybody not gonna be on the same accord.
And they're not, because it's not. It's a variation of mentalities out here. Like it's a variation of mentalities. But as long as you got that strong 300 or strong group of people, then we should be able to, do what we need to do as a people. But I just feel like there's some level of sacrifice that we haven't been willing to make, because we just cope with a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying that like it's not variations of coons too, because I understand the dynamic where black people were born into slavery, and then you have those coons. I don't want to say coons, but it was just like you have those black people who slavery was all they knew, because they were born into it. So they grew up with a certain mentality, and then there's levels to mentality. I understand that, but with the people that we do have, we just got to do better as a people to codify and get our stuff together as a people, so we can overrule the oppression that we're dealing with, because we definitely deal with oppression every day, and especially living in Chicago, you see it firsthand, because Chicago is one of them most segregated cities that they love to talk about.
Yeah.
So, you know, we deal with a lot of oppression, and we definitely understand that. We're not justifying this Kanye Cooning situation, but it was slight gems in that I saw, but overall he was definitely doing a lot of cooning with Align with the Kardashians, Align with, I mean, that's his wife. I can't
the black on black crime
with
thing
Donald,
is what really lost me, because, you know,
yeah, that black on black crime, okay, stop it.
People
stop
confuse
it. Stop
close
it, bro.
proximity murder.
Stop it, for real.
For black on black crime, and it's like, you know, every race is more likely to get killed by their own race, but they use that political like nonsense to make black people feel like they're more criminal, or to make everybody feel like black people are more criminal. When he said that, it was just a little bit disappointing. So that's why I agree with dude at TMZ, because he was just like, you have a responsibility, no matter if you trying to spit gems or not, you have a responsibility to clarify what you're trying to say, because since you already aligning yourself with racists and you know, white suburbia that's really like buying your music, they gonna use your same rhetoric to mistreat us,
right?
You know, because the first thing they gonna do when they shoot one of us is, oh, he was a thug, you know. And what about black on black
crime? Like, I hate that. So it's just like, he definitely got to do better. He's super in the sunken place. I don't disagree, but he's more so like, you know, the dude when he was in the sunken place and he was trying to scream, get out. Because I mean, like, the man definitely made crack music, I guess, but right now you just over cooning, bro. Like, you definitely cooning, and I gotta call you out.
And the thing is, we also gotta recognize that we love Kanye when he's controversial. Yeah. But if he says something that offends us, we just ready to cancel him. And it's like, he's been this way for a while. He just ain't been so aggressive with it, as far as wearing the Trump hat and things like that. But, you know, Kanye really just being Kanye, in my opinion.
But I feel like we shouldn't even look towards our rappers for political advice like that, even though I understand they do have a voice and they got to be knowledgeable of that. But it's just like, it's bigger people who are living and breathing this black empowerment stuff that we can really follow, but everybody will really get riled up over what Kanye has to say, even though it is highly important because he has a certain level of influence. But there are bigger people who's been doing this for some time, and that's who we really need to listen to, like the Claude Andersons and so forth, rather than, you feel me, Kanye. But, you know, moving on to another topic, because I don't want to touch on that for too long because people get too emotional. You did what I'm saying? Exactly. But
slip up and say some Cooning.
Right. I don't want to slip up.
Coming at us in the comments.
But this J. Cole. Yes, J. Cole. How do you feel about that?
I thought it was so many gems on that album.
Yes.
You know, my favorite track on there was definitely Brackets.
Okay.
From the beat selection to the comedy in the beginning, but just some of the things he was saying, and one of my favorite things he said in the song was when he was talking about how, you know, one of the brothers did good in a white man's school, and one of the brothers, you know, kind of chose the street life and the shit. It reminded me of my own upbringing, you know, trying to do things the right way. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in a lot of black households, we like, oh, go to school, do this and do that, and maybe, just maybe, people will treat you different. And it's like, I mean, you could have a bachelor's degree, you could have a master's degree, you could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor. At the end of the day, you black, and there is no right way to do things when people just see you as a threat just because you black in general. So it's like, we got to stop, you know, telling our kids and telling ourselves that we need to do things the right way to be respectable, because that's playing into respectability politics. Not only that, but, you know, what he was saying about, you know, the fact that we got to pay taxes, like it's non-negotiable, you going to jail. But we're paying taxes to a government that doesn't really service us in you know, the best way possible. So it's like,
that's real.
You know, with all this technology in 2018.
Nigga, what?
Calm down. Calm down. 2018, we should be able to vote on our phone, you know, for something. You know, everything else on our phone. So it's like, we really need to know what we voting for, you know what I'm saying, if we do choose to vote.
I mean, I feel like with the whole, I got a different perspective on that voting situation, because I just feel like black people need to get our finances together first before we start falling into the politics real heavy, because
Yeah.
because it's like other cultures who don't have that high voting rate. Like I think Asians, I believe, they don't vote that much, but they economic base is hella strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can go to any state in Chicago and see a Chinatown somewhere, or some Chinatown. You got their nail shops, Chinese restaurants, whatever it is, you know, and a lot of these are important in black communities because they're extorting wealth out of our communities. I feel like, to a certain degree, not to shun my Asian homies, but you know, still y'all doing a level of damage.
Y'all in our hoods.
Right, a lot of y'all in our hoods,
Profiting off the black dollar.
right, and we're not able to circulate our dollars like we should do. But moving on to what I like about the J. Cole album was 1985, actually. Just because it touches on just this millennial age, young generation, which we're a part of because we young cats or whatever. But this gems he was dropping to our generation on like the money and the drugs and just the habits that they have. Like, you know, it's just a big brother just kicking game to you, and I really don't appreciate the way, you feel me, I guess the little pumps and everything out here just
how they taking it.
Just taking it. I'm just like, man, he's not even really going in on you like that. He's just dropping gems on, this is what you can do, this is how you can do better, this is what they expect of you. He was even talking to more people than Lil Pump, to be exact, because what was that? He was like, they don't. I love to see a black man get paid, or whatever. Like, I don't think Lil Pump is black, so I mean that was So it's just like he was definitely talking about way more people than just Lil Pump. So like he got real emotional and got in his feelings. Like,
I mean, but honestly, you can say he's speaking to the rap,
the whole
population
mumble
in general,
rap, I guess.
Because even if you just look at these concerts, I mean, it ain't even got to just be mumble rap, trap rap, all that. You know. Yeah, that car. But like, it's just the fact that like, if you go to your favorite artist concert, it's gonna be a lot of white suburban, and they, you know, one of the biggest consumers of hip hop in general, and what he said was true. They feel like using our culture gives them an outlet to feel like they live in the black life or the urban life. You know, it just gives them an edge. Similar to what we be saying with some suburbians, and it's just like, when we play into that coonery, we got to understand the repercussions of that. And a lot of times, you got white folk that feel like they us, and that's why, you know, rap is even being gentrified. It's like it's no
gentrification is real.
Boundaries anymore. So it's just like, you know, even at the concert, like you know, when people were saying like fuck Lil Pump and all of that, he was saying like, no, I don't do that, because you know that wasn't the purpose of this. Like, I didn't make this track for y'all to go at you know, mumble rappers, but more so just to spit game to mumble rappers, you know, telling them that, you know, if you gonna go into this type of business and you gonna sell yourself a certain way, you need to be investing, and you need to make sure you're not broke in 5 years. And we see it happen, and we've been seeing it happen for generations, while our black artists are being exploited. So it's just like, get something.
Like, you see these old movies, you see the New Edition stories, you see, it's like
Records.
or even the Jodeci's, or whatever the situation may be. There's so many lessons to learn from, and if you don't learn your history, it's bound to repeat itself. And that's one thing you just have to understand. As a big brother, he's just kicking knowledge, and he's just trying to give you a little game, a little history. If you don't understand your history, it's bound to repeat itself, and that's what's gonna happen. So you can't get mad from a decade or two from now, up broke or strung out or whatever situation may be, because somebody told you so. Like, and you just chose not to listen. You chose to listen to all those yes men that's around you. So it just take heed towards what he's saying, and stop getting all emotional, and be a little bit more logical about the situation. That's all we're saying. And then we're not even trying to knock mumble rap, because we definitely rock with some of that mumble rap, you feel me? Because we're of that age, of that generation. So there definitely have to have a balance between the two. Like I keep saying, like my man Charlamagne always say, you definitely have to have a balance between righteousness and wretchedness, and that's all we're saying. Just have that balance. Like, you don't need to oversaturate one end and then just have all this toxic gas music and not have that balance. So it's just that's all we're trying to bring to the table, you know? But yeah.
And my thing is, have you seen this Is America video?
Oh man.
Like, the man snapped.
He definitely snapped.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I first looked at the video, I'm just like, I was a little puzzled
I
for a
was like,
second.
what is with
But
this
then I'm
dance
just like,
right now?
man, like, you know,
man,
I'm looking at all the things in the background. I'm just
Right.
like, wow, like, you know.
I understand the imagery of it.
He really was saying a lot in that track. But I mean, just, you know, surface level, like how fascinated America is with the guns.
Yeah.
You know, from all races, all backgrounds, like the guns in America is just so crazy. Like everybody has one, and it's like it's so many dangerous groups that's abusing people with the power they have with guns. But you know, you can even look at it like, man, like that's really how like America took over.
Yeah, I mean, America is always going to have guns. They're never going to get rid of that. I mean, then I like from the conscious level, like just like, man, get your money. And then, like, get your money, man. Like, and that's all J. Cole was saying. Get your money, but then be mindful of what you do with this money as well, and invest more, and you know, and build more, and stop just spending it on the dumb shit, the drugs, the chains, the flashy stuff, the materialistic things that depreciate in value, everything. So just be more mindful of what you do with your money, but at the same time, get your money.
And I think what the bigger picture too is that, you know, watch out for the things that you get distracted by.
Right.
Because, you know, all we was paying attention to when we first watched the video was his dancing.
Yeah. That
and I missed everything in the background. I
missed like the dance. I was like, man, what you doing, bro? Like,
so I'm just like, man, like looking at the media, like I know we talking about Kanye, you know, because you know at the end of the day, like you know, it's hot topics, but you know,
shirt off.
It's a lot of police brutality happening in Puerto Rico right now. So just maintain that balance. Like it's okay to look at things in the media, but pay attention to real life, you know, and make sure you grounded. But you know, that's the first episode, man. Tell us what you think. Comment things below. You want us to talk about. Like
subscribe, share.
It's gonna be a lot more. There's gonna be a lot more dialogue. But we want to know what you think.
All right. See you. Peace.